Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a flop. Like, it doesn't matter what they do from now until the end of Phase 4, damage is already done. I just got back from watching Eternals and like I don't know, like I want to like it. Not everything about it was bad. The story was very easy to follow. The themes were really good. They were a lot darker than I'm accustomed to seeing in the MCU. But not all of it was bad. And a big complaint about the film I heard before watching it is that the movie was too long or felt too long. It didn't feel too long to me. It just felt like the time on screen was wasted. The biggest issue I have with this film is the lack of character development and the plot. Like the plot, even though it's not too convoluted, I mean at times it is, but it doesn't really pick up traction. It gets to a point where it's just cruising. It's just going in a general direction, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't feel like it's leading to anything that's been building up the entire movie. You don't see tension building up that essentially explodes and erupts in a good climax. You don't really feel that throughout the movie. It just kind of cruises. There's a lot of talking, and it's very easy to follow. It's very interesting. It's kind of like listening to a lore story. Like if you went on YouTube and you just clicked on a video to listen to lore about characters, that's kind of what it feels like to watch this film. Now there's a lot of characters in this film. You got Ikaris, you got Thena, you got Sersi, you got Phastos or Phastos or whatever his name is. You got all these Eternals. There is a lot of characters on screen that you need screen time for. They need to develop as a unit, as a team, and individually if possible, or at least for the most important ones. But there's not much development for any of them. Like the only entertaining ones or the most important ones for me are Sersi, Phastos, and Ikaris. The rest of them are kind of irrelevant. They're just sort of there. And then they kill him off because he felt guilty about what he had done, so he committed suicide. And I'm perfectly fine with having someone like Ikaris, someone I like, being killed off that way, but I just felt like it was too early because none of the characters were developed well enough for me to care. Like this movie should have been spent them building their team chemistry and working towards a common goal, and then later on if they wanted to do that, that's fine. They could have killed off the meaningless, irrelevant characters because, like, let's face it, there's just way too many of them, and then they could have done something like that down the line when we've actually grown to care about these characters. But no, they killed Ikaris off in that way. And then there's the Deviants, who I thought would play a more important role in this film, but the only thing they do is just kill people. That's all they do. They don't, like, their purpose in killing people is that they just developed into predators themselves, and one of them begins to evolve and absorb the powers of the Eternals. And I thought that was going to be like something greater that was going to happen. They were going to be the primary antagonist, or at least the one that was actually evolving to the point where he can actually speak. I thought he would be the main villain, and in a way he is, but it felt like it was more about the Celestial than him. Like the Celestial was the antagonist and he was just sort of like a side character who just kind of got in the way every once in a while, because they do a lot of flying around and moving around throughout the story, and then the Deviants just come in and just wreak havoc for like 5 minutes and they just move on after that. So yeah, I expected more of that, and just the pacing of the film itself, like the way you just keep flashing back in time instead of trying to have something that just makes us build tension and look forward to the climax of the film. But throughout the entire film, I'm not really anticipating a huge climax. I'm not really looking forward towards anything. It's just sort of cruising towards the end of the film instead of building up towards the climax. The climax does happen, and the build-up is essentially that Ikaris knew the entire time what was going to happen, and that's when it starts to get tense. And they blow it by killing him off. So like I hope he comes back, because he was the best character in my opinion. He actually has the coolest like diversity of powers. He can fly, he has super strength, and like not invulnerability, but he's very durable, and he can shoot like cosmic energy through his eyes. So it's like a very nerfed, super weak version of Superman or something. I think they actually refer to him as Superman in the film. I think the film would have been better if they just chose what direction they wanted to go in. Do you want it to be a present day film with flashbacks every once in a while to connect dots, or do you want it to be a movie that's told in the past and that was it? Or like primarily telling the story through the past and showing things in in the present day, but telling the story through past events. Like, I would have been fine with either, but like the way this movie was going, like it was just going through the present and cruising. All right, let me go flashback and tell me this story for like 15 minutes or whatever, and then yeah, like just pick one, and then like spend that time building some sort of conflict or tension that leads to a climax, because this movie did not have that. Like, it had a climax, but it didn't feel like it was built up to. Like, it just felt like such a slow paced film, and then out of nowhere, oh, Ikaris gets pissed off and he's the enemy now. Oh, painting a clear picture, like letting us know who is the enemy, who is the primary antagonist of this film. Because I thought it was the Deviants, but then towards the end it felt like the Deviants didn't really do much. They had a very huge role in the beginning, and then towards the end it's like they didn't have a role at all. The primary antagonist of the second half of the film was Ikaris, so I thought that was really stupid the way they did that. But yeah, this movie's underdeveloped in terms of the characters, the plot. Like, it had so much potential. A really good story could have been told here, and like, some of it was a good story, but it's just too much. Like, you have too many characters, you have too many things going on, and yeah, like this movie was very disappointing, but it wasn't all bad. Like, a lot of it was good, but it could have been so much better, and I was actually more excited for this than I was Shang-Chi. And I did not like Shang-Chi. I gave a rant about it, but I was way more excited for this than Shang-Chi. And I didn't really have expectations of this film because I don't know anything about the Eternals. I've said many times, I do not read comic books. I don't care. The comic books are completely separate from these films. But yeah, I don't know anything about them, and I was very hopeful, but I'm very disappointed. The movie wasn't bad entirely. There was a lot of good things about it, but overall I'm very disappointed, and I hope they fix these errors, and not just this film, but Shang-Chi and Black Widow in the future, because the previous story being told in the MCU was a masterpiece. It was beautifully put together, but this one is just a flop. It's a mess. It's all over the place. So hopefully they fix it in the future. If not, then we are witnessing the end of a dynasty, because the Phase 4 of the MCU is a flop, and it is horrible. If you disagree, let me know why you disagree in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch you on the next video next Friday, which really will be next Friday this time. Last week I didn't upload because I was feeling ill. I had gotten my second shot from Moderna for the COVID-19 vaccination, but this time I really will be on Friday. So see you then. Bye bye.